How come children can't swear? Isn't that weird? How come there's a whole subsection of our language that adults are only allowed to use? If you think about it, it's a weird thing. Like, I understand that a child casually dropping an F-bomb in the middle of a conversation is off-putting, but like, why is that? Why is that a bummer? I don't know why. I don't know, that's just a concept that upsets me deeply. I feel like children should be allowed to swear. Anyway, swearing is what we're talking about today. Oxford Dictionary defines a swear as a word regarded as coarse, blasphemous, or otherwise unacceptable in polite or formal speech. But they neglect to mention the power that these words hold. There is nothing as potent in our English language as a perfectly crafted sentence with a swear as its centerpiece. It can create laughter, it can strike fear into people's hearts, it can bring attention to a point that nobody was paying attention to. We have all experienced the moment of the first time you accidentally slip up and say the real F word in front of your mom instead of friggin'. But on that beautiful day where she doesn't freak out when you say f in front of her, well, you've graduated from a Tuglet to a full-grown Tugger. It's more important than getting your driver's license. The average American uses swears 80 times a day, yet we don't really know why these words are so powerful in the first place. So powerful, in fact, that YouTube will take money away from me every time I use one, which is not great because that's the whole point of this video. I'm going to do my best to beep every single swear and keep a swear counter up top just to make sure things don't get out of hand, and that's going to be a nightmare to edit, but whatever. So let's take a brisk stroll through the history and etymology of our favorite words and find out just how potent the English language can get, because it's important to make a statement with the words you choose. Oh, also, I'm not going to be covering slurs in this one. That's not fun. I understand those are also curse words, but that's, you understand why I'm not going to do that, right? So what exactly are the rules of what you can and can't say? Well, it's difficult to say because they, meaning the rules, are constantly changing. Back when George Carlin delivered his famous soliloquy about the 7 words you can't say on television, one of them was piss. You could say piss pretty confidently nowadays. I mean, it's not too polite when you get up from the dinner table saying, I gotta take a piss, but it's not really, you know, a jaw-dropping event. I mean, it's not even making the swear counter move. It's not that big of a deal anymore. So if I can say piss, how come I can't say shit? See, it's an issue. Well, historically, it's a little complicated. If you notice, and it might be a little obvious, but most swear words involve a little bit of taboo in all of them, which is why the most commonly used swear words in America involve gender, genitals, and religion. Those are like the 3 big ones. But such is the American way, where we boast how free we are, and then we end up having, you know, missionary repressed sex before church. On the other end of the spectrum, you have a place like Germany where talking about sex is pretty nonchalant, so all of their swears aren't really based around genitals. Rarely will you hear the term sucker or motherfucker coming out of their mouths. Most of Germany's swear words actually revolve around poop. Revolve around poo. I don't know why. They're big on poop talk. And even the famous religious leader Martin Luther on his deathbed said, I am like a ripe stool and the world is a gigantic anus, and so we're about to let go of one another. I mean, one of the most important religious leaders of all time, and he's talking about poopy buttholes on his deathbed. So every culture's swears usually revolve around things that they normally wouldn't talk about in polite conversation, and then they end up having vile meanings. But who, in fact, is telling me I can't use them? Who is in charge? Who's pulling the puppet string? Well, cursing has gone through several evolutions. In the Middle Ages, if you said, by God's bones, that was pretty much like saying, God motherfucking damn it. In the 1600s, you would say turd in your teeth if you wanted to tell somebody to fuck off. But throughout all the ages, the person who was telling everybody they couldn't say those words was usually the church. It's usually the religious people who get mad about it. I mean, to this day, if a French Canadian wants to let some big words fly, they'll say a whole phrase. Christ of the chalice of the tabernacle of the host of the sacrament. Which probably sounds a lot cooler in French, I would assume. The point is, the Bible has a lot to say about swearing, and it's not good. It really doesn't like it when you do that. I'm just gonna put up all the Bible passages where it tells you not to swear, or at the very least suggests that you don't do it. And it's important to remember that the Bible has been translated a bunch of times, and they also didn't know some of the Hebrew words when they translated it, so they kind of guessed on them, so I'm not saying the Bible's bullshit, but you know, whatever. But at least in America, it's mostly the religious groups that won't let you swear on TV or the radio or on YouTube. I mean, not directly, but most of the consumable content economy is based upon advertising, because advertisers don't want to piss off Christians, and showrunners don't want to piss off advertisers, so it's a big thing. I mean, even to this day, if you're going to get an American that's going to be mad at you for swearing, it's probably going to be a courtly southern gentleman who gets mad at you for cussing. I mean, if you live in the Northeast or even the North part of America, you can swear anytime you want, but if you go to the South, they'll get pretty mad at you for doing that. But since I'm already in the deepest of shits when it comes to this video not making any money because of the demonetization of the advertisers, I might as well jump in head first. And I might as well do that right now by, you know, breaking down every good swear I can think of. Please excuse the rest of this video's energy of a middle schooler who just learned to swear. I understand swearing's not that cool when you're 27, but like, it's the focus of this video. So for the next 14 minutes, just bear with me. So let's talk about etymology. Etymology is the study of where words come from. And it's really fun. I like etymology. Like, for example, the history of the word newt. Well, the word newt used to be oot, and people would say an oot. But after a while, everyone would just say a newt, and it just sounded like newt, so now it's newt. Isn't that fun? And it becomes more fun once you start asking questions like, I wonder when cock became the word for penis and pussy became the word for vagina. When you start asking those questions, you can go down a really fun rabbit hole. So let's take a look at where all the big hitters came from and find out what exactly makes your mom hate these set of syllables. Up first, we have a pretty soft one, which is damn. Did we bleep that? Yeah, you told me to bleep everything. I mean, it's not really a swear. Well, it's in the swear segment, so I assumed it was a swear. I mean, if you're a pussy, yeah. Okay, well, now I have to bleep that word. Oh no, you're gonna have to do your job as if it's I don't know why you're talking to me like I don't. You can go f yourself, honestly. I'm out of here, f you. And he's gone. And now I look foolish. So like I said, damn is a swear that's not really gonna upset anyone unless you're a child or a Bible thumper. But it does come from the Latin damnum, which means to damage, hurt, harm, and just bad stuff in its entirety. And then it became denare in the Old English, which to be fair is hard as f. That sounds like a really cool entry in a Dooms franchise. And then those cheese-eating surrender monkeys, the French got a hold of it, and if the French can do anything, it's make a dirty thing a little bit dirtier. And in the old language of French, it was demir, which means to blame, convict, injure, yada yada. Then the English got a hold of it and kept the same meaning, but they changed the spelling of it, so it became like dampen or demen or another one. The English was just guessing at spelling for the most of its history. And that's pretty much where it lies in terms of what it means, which is today's meaning, which is damn, which is just damn. Damn. It could mean something good. Damn. It could mean something bad. Damn. It could be something horny. Damn. And anything in between. But you gotta be careful with the word damn, because once you throw the word God in front of it, it becomes an entirely new meaning with a little bit more spice on it. Adding a religious element to any swear makes it a little bit more potent altogether. Like those Bible thumpers I was talking about earlier will get a little bit hot in their shorts if you throw a goddamn out in front of the congregation. However, shockingly, the word goddamn does not come from where you think it is. It comes from the French word godon, which was a 14th century slur for the English. Which, anytime I learn a new slur for the English, I get giddy. That's fun as hell. So moving down the line and increasing the spice level, we have ass. Who doesn't love a good ass? Okay, so I noticed that one made the swear counter move, but it didn't get bleeped, so it's kind of an in-between one. Ass is a variant of arse, which is the British spelling of the word ass, and it makes me so upset, because why are you gonna put an R in a word when you don't even pronounce that letter? Arse has Germanic origins in the Dutch word arse and the German word arsch. Everyone's doing a little something different in the European circuit, and historically it has had two meanings, either a butt or a donkey, which makes it a homonym, which is cool because when you use it as an insult or a swear, it still remains a homonym because you can call someone a fat plumper and a dumb donkey at the same exact time. Little side note, the word ass by itself as an insult really hasn't been as popular in this generation, and I suggest you start using it, because when someone spills like a little soda in your front seat, you can just go, oh, you ass, ass. It's fun. It's fun to do that. Now, ass is interesting because eventually it was given a molt modifier. Around the 1880s, people started spicing it up by giving it a hole. An ass. That's gonna bleep. They don't like that. Simply adding hole in front of a part of the body makes it 10 times worse every time. And although ass didn't take on its meaning as an insult to a person until the 1930s, it appeared in an 1898 dialect dictionary with the usage example, "Tell her 100 times never to put the poker into ass." I'm not confident as to what they were trying to say there, but I'm 100% confident I agree with them. Moving down the line of spiciness and swear words is my favorite due to its versatility, which of course is shit. I love a good shit. The Old English and Proto-Germanic roots of shit, skite and skit respectively, as a verb meaning to cut, split, or separate from the body. Etymologically, they're just painting the picture of pinching a loaf. That's what they're trying to explain with that word. However, it is interesting that even though the word shit and its predecessors were around for such a long time, it didn't show up in print until the 20th century, which is the 1900s, which is still confusing me. And even then, novels by James Joyce and short stories by Ernest Hemingway that used shit were scandalous and sometimes banned out of libraries. Webster's New World Dictionary even omitted the word shit in the 1970s. It wasn't cool back then either. But nowadays, it's not only the most popular word to say when you fail a test or stub your toe, it has a magical ability to become something completely new when you put another word in front of it. If you put any specific animal in front of the word shit, then it becomes an entirely new meaning. Something can be dog shit, meaning it's poor in quality. Something can be horse shit or bullshit, which usually means it's a false witness or a liar. Something can be ape shit or bat shit, which means it's crazy. You can be scared shitless. You can lose your shit. You can talk shit, shoot the shit your bed, give a shit, full of shit, feel like shit. Shit happens. What a goddamn shit show. I mean, that word is, it hits every single note I want it to hit. Moving down the line, we have a word that is certainly offensive to a large portion of the population, which is bitch, which is a word that if I called my girlfriend, she would eventually post the twit longer. comes from the word of a female dog. I'm sure we're all aware of that. It came from the Old English and the Old Norse, but it means a female dog at the end of the day. But by the 14th century, it became an insult hurled at women, which kind of makes sense because if a lady's being annoying, you call her a dog. Not nice, but I could see the connection. And then it became a verb, which means to whine or complain, like, oh, stop bitching, which it kind of makes sense in terms of a female dog and they're kind of cranky, but also you could say that women bitch a lot, and that's not cool. That's sexist. Don't say that. So that carried on for a few hundred years until the 1700s, where some really smart guy decided to put son of a in front of bitch, which changed the world. Son of a bitch became the most common American swear from the mid-18th century until the mid-20th century. But nowadays, we don't really use it as like you're calling someone a son of a bitch. You usually just say it as an exclamation, like when your car breaks down, son of a bitch. Nowadays, if someone's being a son of a bitch, you're more likely to call them a piece of shit. Those two kind of transferred meaning. And now that we're really deep down on the demonetization well, we can talk about fuck. I have no chance of making any money on this video. There's been a lot of misinformation surrounding the word fuck over the years. A lot of obnoxious nerds state that fuck is an acronym meaning for unlawful carnal knowledge, whatever. But that's not real and annoying to me. I hate when people do things like that. But sadly, the real etymological history of fuck is really hard to trace. The word was considered taboo and actually was outlawed in print in England in 1857 and the US in 1873. And when books like dictionaries were coming out, they weren't gonna print the word fuck because, like I said, big taboo. Didn't land in any English dictionary until 1965. Like, we had the Beatles before we had fucking Webster's. And because of dorks who were afraid of words in books, we don't know what happened. We don't know what happened with this word. We don't know the history of it. But we do know the history of its much more powerful sister, motherfucker. We know where that came from. The Oxford English Dictionary cites the first instance of the word motherfucker being used in an 1889 Texas trial. And the exact words spoken in that trial, and this is a direct quote, "That goddamn motherfucking bastardly son of a bitch." And I couldn't find the specifics of what this court case was about, but whatever this man said, he believed in it. I don't know who he was angry at, but that person probably was a piece of shit. I'll give it to him. Now, one of the best parts about fuck, much like shit, is its versatility. Fuck is a working man swear. Day in and day out, lunch pail 9 to 5. Fuck can be used in any sentence situation, filling out any grammatical rule you need it to. It's a transitive and intransitive verb, adjective, adverb, noun, whatever you need it to be. Like, if I said the sentence fuck me, I'm that is completely grammatically correct. That makes absolute sense according to teachers everywhere. It's a marvel of the modern language. I'm proud of what we did with the word f***. And now finally, we are at the bottom of the iceberg where we keep the worst of the worst. And I think some of you are gonna know what I'm talking about because Americans don't use it. Every other country does. It is cunt. I didn't like how that felt. This word is interesting because it's probably going to be the one that most likely gets you into trouble. At least in America. I mean, Australians are using this word as a greeting or a sign of intimacy. But ironically, some of the earliest uses of the word come from Americans. It's thought that the French use of the word con, which is the same meaning, was picked up by Americans in World War I, and then they brought it back to America and added a little spicy tea on it. And although I'm not confident why the word is so powerful in America, it is definitely one of the most powerful words you can say. Like, if you want to abandon all chances of winning an argument with a woman but still feel like you won for a half second, just let the C word fly. See what happens. But I would suggest against doing that because at the end of the day, if you're not British or Australian, you should probably never use that word. Even though it's fun to say. You know, I don't live with a woman, so I'm free to say it. Is that counter going up 5 every time I say that one? So I think we can give the swear counter a break for a minute because future me is making that thing go up and I'm bad at math now, so I can't imagine I'm any better in 20 minutes. So instead of talking about swears you know, I thought I'd teach you some that you don't. That's right, Papa Tugg is gonna teach his Tugglets some swears, like the cool uncle at Thanksgiving. These swears seem tame by today's standards until you learn the history of them, and then it's a little bit more fun to say. Quick aside before we get into it, there is a scene in Back to the Future 3 where Biff says a string of words that sound like horrendous swear slurs, and none of them are actually that offensive, so I just want to play that right now.
Especially not some duded up, egg-sucking gutter trash.
So, it's all about how you say it, not what you say. So, take that in mind when we're about to talk about what we're about to talk about. Starting out with a fun one, we got fopdoodle. Fopdoodle. Is that not fun to say? This one comes all the way from 1833, where calling someone a fopdoodle was a great way to get a one-up in a game of verbal chess. At base level, it really just means dumbass, like you're calling someone a moron when you call them a fopdoodle, but it's just phonetically so appealing, like fopdoodle. Oh my god, it just rolls out of your mouth. Fopdoodle. It's like if Dr. Seuss created a slur. Well, he probably did, actually, at one point, but if it was... And then in that same line of bubbly language, we have jobbernowl. Jobbernowl. Although jobbernowl sounds like a lame name of an alien creature, one of those new Star Wars TV shows, knows, it was actually fighting words back in the 19th century. This word has roots in French, which means, and I'm not kidding, misshapen head. You're calling someone a cone head when you call him a jobbernowl. Let's take a look at jobbernowl in the form of writing from the 1902 John Kendrick Bangs novel, Olympian Night. You're a jobbernowl and a doodle, a meandering mooncalf and a block-headed numps, a gabby and a loon. People were just writing shit down back then. That's crazy. But anytime you talk to someone that you hate and you want to confuse and disarm them, just call them a jobbernowl. And they'll probably think you said something way meaner than you did, but they'll also not be able to talk for a few seconds, so you can say much more mean things in the meantime. Next up, we have bescumber. Bescumber. It sounds like the secret 13th month. It means, it's kind of weird, actually. Bescumber means to poop on somebody. Means to put shit on them. It means to shit on somebody. There's a word for that, and now you know it. And now it's gonna be stuck in your head for the rest of today. That's just such a specific situation, and I don't know why we would have to come up with a word for it. And there's a certain subsect of this population that would use that word, but we're not gonna talk about them. I don't care if it was invented in the late 16th century. No way that was happening so often back then that you had to make a word. The only thing that should be bescumbering is a baby. Like on itself, or if you're holding it and it accidentally poops, that's the only time something should be bescumbering. But that being said, ever since I learned that word, I've been using it in a folksy way when I'm playing video games. Like, let's say I clutch a 3v1 in the finals. Oh, bescumbered. Like, instead of saying get shit on, you say, oh, bescumbered, brother. Also, I play the finals and you should too. People say it's a dead game. It's not a dead game. They just released an update. It's really good. And if you want to play with me, I'm around. Oh, here's a good one. How about arf arf and arf? That's a real one. Arf arf and arf. Arf arf and arf just sounds like a dog barking or like a Phillies fan choking on a ballpark frame. But it's a swear word from the Victorian era, so it's got a little bit of fanciness to it. It basically means a drunkard, like someone who can't handle their booze, but they keep going back to it for some reason, which is fitting because it sounds like you're both slurring your words and also puking up all over your shirt at the same exact time. So the next time someone gets too drunk at your frat party, that's an arf arf and arf, baby. Get them the f out of here. Cacafuego is another fun one to add to the Rolodex. You know that friend that's always bragging about their high score in a video game that you don't care about at all? That's a cacafuego. For anyone who even knows a little bit of Spanish, it should be obvious what the word means. It literally translates to shit fire, like shit on fire. But historically, it became a word used for braggarts, people who brag all the time. The term was coined after a pirate ship named Cacafuego was captured in 1579. And the whole point of that was they named their ship Hot Shit, which is so braggadocious, and then the ship got caught. So it's like calling someone, you think you're hot shit, but you know, everyone knows you're full of it. We have scobberlotcher. Scobberlotcher. That's a fun one. If that wasn't already a word, J.K. Rowling would have made that another in-universe slur. What do Homer Simpson, the Big Lebowski, and Jabba Hutt all have in common? They're all slobberlotchers. A life-shattering word for a slob-like lazy person. And it's fun because it's like a three-way word between scotch, rubber, and slobber. But it's not actually that. It's most likely derives from the Old English word scobberloit. But to me, it sounds like a delicious flavor of candy, like butterscotch, but better. But that also makes me sound like a scobberlotcher, so I'm gonna hold that thought to myself. Now let's take a sharp left turn to an ancient swear that is a little bit upsetting, and it is beard splitter. And I would like everyone to take a moment and pause the video and try and think of what this actually might mean, because it's not great. Now there's a lot of different ways to call somebody a dick, but beard splitter is probably one of the worst ones. This Victorian era slang that meant penis usually was reserved for men that visited prostitutes a lot. I hope we see where we're going here, because women having a bush of pubic hair was very popular for most of human history, and a penis goes in there and it splits the pubic hair, and that's why it's called the beard splitter. I don't know, I think even though I didn't swear during all of that, that's probably the most likely thing that's gonna get me demonetized. But yeah, next time you just wanna call your friend a dick while being fun with it, just call him a beard splitter and then sit there in silence while he figures out what you just said, and then he's gonna go, oh, dude, what the f? Now go my children, go and start using these old-timey swears and make them popular again so I can feel a little bit of, you know, immortality in the English language. And also, they're fun. All the scopperlotcher, that's just fun. I hope you all learned a little something today and have a little bit more appreciation for the words you use ever so often. If you'd like to support the channel, please share and like and comment, do everything you can, because I'm not going to make any money on this video and I have rent to pay, and once again, wisdom teeth to get taken out. Choose your words carefully, use them sparingly, and add a little shit to your sentences to make them a little bit more shiny. Have a good day, everybody.